There are certain habits in life that speak louder than words, habits that don't demand attention but naturally reveal the kind of man you are. For Sigma males, these habits aren't flashy or exaggerated. They don't come with loud declarations or the need to impress others. Instead, they're quiet, steady, and often unnoticed until someone looks closely. A Sigma male is not defined by titles or by how many people recognize him in a room. He is defined by the way he lives his everyday life, in small details that others overlook. The way he carries himself, the way he thinks, and the way he chooses to respond when no one else is watching. In today's world, where many men are pushed to prove themselves through external validation, Sigma males stand apart. They prove themselves differently, not by showing off, but by the strength of their independence and the clarity of their actions. These men live with a sense of quiet purpose, one that is not always easy to see but impossible to deny once you recognize it. Think about it for a moment. We live in a society that often rewards the loudest voice in the room, but what about the man who doesn't need to shout, yet still commands respect? What about the man who doesn't demand validation, yet leaves a lasting impression? This is the essence of Sigma. The habits we're about to explore are not common. Many men may try to copy them, but only a few can truly live them consistently. Because these habits are not just behaviors. They're reflections of an inner world built on discipline, solitude, and strength. So today, let's walk slowly through these habits one by one. As you listen, ask yourself, do these resonate with how you live your own life? You may find that you already carry some of them within you. And if you do, it may just confirm something important, that you are indeed walking the path of the Sigma male. Habit 1. Comfort in solitude. The Sigma male does not fear being alone. For him, solitude is not a prison, it is a sanctuary. While many people equate being alone with loneliness, the Sigma sees it differently. Solitude, in his eyes, is a fertile ground where ideas grow, clarity sharpens, and creativity thrives. This mindset is deeply tied to psychology and history. Studies in psychology show that spending time alone can improve focus, self-awareness, and emotional regulation. Unlike extroverts who gain energy from social settings, Sigma males recharge in silence, allowing them to maintain independence and cultivate inner strength. Throughout history, some of the greatest thinkers and leaders have leaned into solitude. Albert Einstein famously said, "I live in that solitude which is painful in youth, but delicious in the years of maturity." Similarly, Nikola Tesla embraced being alone as a way to harness his creativity. For Sigma males, this isn't about isolation or rejecting people, it's about understanding that personal growth often requires space away from distractions. They thrive where others panic, because they recognize silence not as emptiness, but as a canvas to paint their thoughts and visions. The modern world often glorifies constant connectivity, social media, crowded gatherings, and endless conversations. For many, the idea of being without company sparks anxiety. Psychologists call this fear of solitude, a condition tied to an overdependence on external validation. But Sigma males flip this narrative. By choosing solitude, they cultivate resilience, discipline, and a clearer sense of identity. They do not seek approval from the crowd, which makes them more self-directed and often more mysterious in the eyes of others. In solitude, the Sigma male also hones creativity. Research published in the journal Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin shows that people who are comfortable spending time alone tend to produce more original ideas. This explains why Sigma males often have unconventional solutions, unique insights, or rare talents that set them apart. What others call loneliness, they recognize as the birthplace of innovation. Moreover, solitude strengthens reflection. Religious traditions across the world recognize the power of retreating into silence, whether it is monks in monasteries, prophets in the wilderness, or philosophers in quiet study. For the Sigma male, solitude becomes a personal discipline, much like meditation. It sharpens his decision-making and helps him maintain emotional balance, making him less reactive to external chaos. In a society that constantly pressures people to stay connected, the Sigma male reminds us of an overlooked truth. Sometimes the most powerful connection is the one you make with yourself. For him, being alone is not a weakness. It is the foundation of strength, creativity, and lasting growth. Habit 2, independence over approval. He doesn't chase validation. His choices, career moves, and lifestyle are directed by his own compass, not by the shifting opinions of others. This mindset is not just a romanticized idea of independence, it has deep roots in psychology and history. Studies in social psychology show that most people are highly influenced by external validation, meaning they adjust their behavior to be accepted, praised, or recognized. Social media has amplified this tendency, with likes and comments becoming modern tokens of approval. Yet individuals who resist this cycle, like Sigma males, embody what psychologists call internal locus of control. They believe their life outcomes are shaped more by their own decisions than by the world's approval, which often leads to greater resilience, confidence, and self-sufficiency. Throughout history, many great thinkers, inventors, and leaders shared this trait. Nikola Tesla, for example, lived much of his life overlooked and underfunded, while others chased fame and recognition. Yet his innovations continue to shape the modern world. Similarly, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius wrote extensively about detaching from public opinion, reminding us that seeking constant validation is a trap that binds the soul. Sigma males mirror this philosophy in modern terms. They may excel in careers, build businesses, or pursue unconventional paths, not because it looks good on paper, but because it aligns with their values and vision. This doesn't mean they reject people or society. Rather, they understand the difference between connection and dependence. Relationships for them are chosen, not clung to, and success is measured by fulfillment, not applause. This creates a paradox. The less they chase validation, the more respect and admiration they receive. It is the quiet power of being self-directed. Just like how a compass always points north regardless of the terrain, their inner compass guides them steadily even when the world shifts around them. In a time when external validation feels almost unavoidable, this mindset is both rare and powerful. It requires courage to stand apart, to say no when others expect yes, and to trust one's vision even when misunderstood. That's why Sigma males are often seen as mysterious. They operate from conviction, not compliance. Their lives remind us of an enduring truth. Freedom comes not from applause, but from authenticity. To live guided by one's own compass is not only a mark of strength, but also a lesson for anyone who desires peace, clarity, and a life truly their own. Habit 3, observing more than speaking. Sigma males are often misunderstood because of their quiet nature. Many assume their silence comes from shyness or a lack of confidence, but that's far from the truth. In reality, their silence is a deliberate choice. Sigma males are observers. They spend more time watching, analyzing, and understanding their surroundings than most people do. This quiet watchfulness gives them a unique advantage. It allows them to notice details others miss and use those insights to shape their decisions with precision. Psychologists often describe this as a heightened form of situational awareness. Research in behavioral science shows that people who observe more tend to make better judgments in social and professional settings because they are processing more data before acting. Sigma males naturally embody this principle. While others may rush into conversations or decisions, they wait, assess, and move when the timing is right. This is why they often come across as mysterious, because they reveal so little while perceiving so much. In history and literature, many great leaders, inventors, and thinkers carried this same trait. Figures like Albert Einstein and Nikola Tesla were known to be highly observant introverts who preferred silence, not out of fear of people, but because they were lost in careful thought. Similarly, Sigma males use silence as a tool. By choosing to listen rather than speak, they can spot inconsistencies, hidden motives, or opportunities that others overlook. From an evolutionary perspective, silence also served as a survival mechanism. Early hunters and warriors relied on quiet observation to track prey or detect threats. That instinct remains in Sigma males today, making them naturally strategic in how they navigate life. They can enter a room and within minutes pick up on body language, tone, and atmosphere, skills that are invaluable in leadership, business, and relationships. What makes this silence powerful is not just what they notice, but what they do with the information. Instead of reacting impulsively, Sigma males process and filter details, then act with intention. This is why their decisions often appear well calculated and impactful. They don't need to speak loudly or frequently to influence a room. Their presence, awareness, and timely words are enough. So when you see a Sigma male sitting quietly, don't mistake it for weakness or insecurity. His silence is not empty, it's full of awareness, calculation, and understanding. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, he chooses to listen, and in that listening, he finds power. Habit 4, respect without demand. Instead of asking for respect, he earns it quietly. Through consistency, reliability, and calm presence, people naturally come to respect him. This is one of the most fascinating aspects of true leadership and influence. When authority doesn't need to be shouted, it is simply felt. In psychology, this is known as earned respect, which is more powerful and long-lasting than demanded respect. Studies in organizational behavior highlight that leaders who model dependability and calm composure tend to inspire greater trust and loyalty than those who rely on intimidation or status symbols. People instinctively recognize the difference between someone who forces attention and someone who lives in a way that naturally attracts it. In everyday life, this principle shows itself in subtle ways. The person who shows up on time, follows through on promises, and listens more than they speak builds a quiet credibility. Think of someone at work or in your community who never raises their voice, yet when they speak, everyone listens. That influence doesn't come from flashy charisma or a need to dominate. It comes from a steady track record of being someone others can count on. History is full of figures like this. Leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela exemplified how calm strength and reliability could draw respect without demanding it. There's also a biological side to this. Neuroscience suggests that humans are wired to feel secure around those who radiate calm energy. A study published in Frontiers in Psychology explains that mirror neurons in the brain cause people to subconsciously mimic the emotional state of those around them. This means a consistently calm person creates a ripple effect, lowering anxiety in others and making them feel safer in their presence. Over time, this emotional stability becomes a source of respect, even admiration. The lesson here is both practical and inspiring. Respect that is earned, not demanded, has deeper roots. Demanded respect fades the moment fear or authority disappears, but earned respect endures because it is tied to trust, consistency, and character. It's why the Sigma male archetype is often described as mysterious yet respected. He doesn't need to explain himself or seek validation. His actions and presence do the speaking for him. So whether in friendships, relationships, or leadership, the quiet consistency of one's actions has more weight than loud declarations. In the end, true respect is never forced. It is cultivated through reliability, calmness, and authenticity, the kind of presence people feel drawn to, not pushed toward. Habit 5, emotional self-mastery rare. The habit of staying calm under pressure is one of the rarest qualities a man can develop, and it is one of the defining traits of the Sigma male. Unlike most people who allow emotions to dictate their behavior, the Sigma does not let anger, fear, or insecurity control his actions. He doesn't lash out in a fit of rage, nor does he shrink away when tension rises. Instead, he chooses to respond rather than react. This subtle difference makes all the difference. Reacting is impulsive, often driven by raw emotion, but responding is intentional. It requires awareness, discipline, and self-control. This ability has roots in both psychology and physiology. Studies show that when humans experience anger or fear, the amygdala, the brain's emotional control center, fires off signals that flood the body with adrenaline and cortisol. This fight or flight response can cloud judgment, narrow focus, and lead to decisions that are regretted later. The Sigma male, however, masters the art of pausing. By taking a breath and refusing to be swept away by the storm of chemicals in his body, he re-engages the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of the brain responsible for logic and decision-making. In doing so, he maintains clarity even in the heat of the moment. History provides countless examples of individuals who embodied this principle. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often wrote about the power of remaining unshaken by external chaos. He believed that while one cannot control what happens in the world, one can always control how to interpret and respond to it. Modern psychology echoes this wisdom through practices like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which teaches people to identify automatic negative thoughts and replace them with constructive responses. What Stoics practiced in ancient times, Sigma males live out today. choosing calmness as a form of strength. This habit is not only practical but also deeply attractive. People naturally gravitate toward those who exude composure in the midst of chaos. In leadership settings, calmness inspires trust. In relationships, it provides stability. And in everyday life, it sets one apart as someone who cannot be easily shaken. The Sigma male doesn't need to prove his dominance by raising his voice or displaying aggression. His silence and stillness speak volumes, showing that he is in control of himself no matter what the world throws his way. In a culture that often glorifies loudness, outrage, and instant reactions, the Sigma's calmness becomes a quiet form of rebellion. It is not passivity, but power under restraint. It is the discipline of a man who has mastered his inner world, and by doing so, can navigate the outer one with clarity and strength. Few men truly have this habit, but those who do are recognized as rare and formidable. Habit 6. Living with purpose, not performance. For the Sigma, life is not a stage. He does not live to perform for others. Every step he takes is aligned with a deeper purpose, whether anyone notices or not. This mindset separates him from the majority who are often caught in cycles of validation, applause, and comparison. In psychology, this independence of thought is closely tied to what researchers call intrinsic motivation, a drive fueled not by rewards or recognition, but by internal values and goals. People who operate this way often display higher levels of self-discipline and long-term focus because their actions are rooted in personal meaning rather than fleeting approval. Think of it like this. Most men walk through life under a spotlight, consciously or unconsciously adjusting their actions to fit what others expect of them. The Sigma male, however, walks in the shadows by choice, not because he is hiding, but because he doesn't need that light to define him. His decisions may appear quiet or even mysterious, yet they often carry profound depth. For example, while some may chase high-paying careers simply for status, the Sigma chooses a path that aligns with his values, even if it brings less recognition. Studies in human behavior show that this type of alignment between actions and purpose leads to greater life satisfaction and resilience. What makes this fascinating is that society often misunderstands such men. To the casual observer, the Sigma might seem aloof, rebellious, or detached. But in truth, he simply refuses to live a scripted life. Anthropologists have noted similar traits in lone wolf figures across cultures, individuals who operate outside hierarchies, yet influence them indirectly. Their strength lies in self-reliance, but their impact often echoes louder than those who constantly seek the crowd's attention. This doesn't mean the Sigma lives without struggle. On the contrary, living authentically can be lonely. And history is filled with examples of visionaries and thinkers who were dismissed in their time because they refused to conform. Yet, as research in leadership and innovation consistently highlights, breakthroughs often come from those willing to walk a different path. The Sigma embodies this principle daily, not with noise, but with quiet conviction. In the end, his life is not about putting on a performance, but about crafting something real. Every choice, every step, every silence speaks of a deeper mission, one that does not need an audience to have meaning. And in a world obsessed with appearances, that authenticity is what makes the Sigma truly rare. When you take a step back and reflect on these habits, something profound becomes clear. Being a Sigma male is not about fitting into a stereotype or chasing an image that others recognize. It is at its core about alignment with oneself, living life with quiet purpose, steady discipline, and a sense of inner direction that does not rely on external applause. Modern psychology often points out that true confidence is not loud or boastful. It is calm and deeply rooted in self-acceptance. Sigma males embody this principle almost effortlessly. Their strength is not measured by how much attention they draw, but by how consistently they stay true to their values, even when no one is watching. These habits are not about recognition or quick rewards. In fact, sociological research shows that people who pursue validation externally often experience burnout and dissatisfaction, whereas those who build habits rooted in self-mastery and independence develop resilience and long-term fulfillment. The Sigma way mirrors this truth. Each habit, whether it's maintaining discipline, valuing solitude, or approaching life with quiet confidence, acts as a marker of deeper strength. And while anyone can try to copy these patterns for a while, sustaining them requires authenticity. It is one thing to mimic confidence, it is another to live it daily without needing a stage. Perhaps you recognized only one or two of these habits in yourself, or maybe you noticed all of them reflected in your life. Either way, the point is not to wear the Sigma label as a badge for others to see. True independence doesn't require validation. A Sigma male understands that his worth does not increase when others notice him, nor does it decrease when they overlook him. This echoes timeless wisdom found in philosophy and faith traditions, that self-mastery is the highest form of freedom. In the end, these habits are less about being classified as Sigma and more about becoming a man of depth, a man who stands with quiet strength, who doesn't need the noise of the world to validate his path. True masculinity does not compete for attention, perform for recognition, or chase after fleeting approval. It simply exists with calm assurance. And here's the paradox. When you live that way, the world inevitably notices. Not because you demand its attention, but because authentic strength is impossible to ignore.